They had it all, or at least that's how the world saw it. 15 years of picture-perfect marriage, two beautiful children, a home in the suburbs of Connecticut, and friends who envied their life. For most people, their story was proof that love could last, that commitment and trust could build something unshakable. But on one ordinary Thursday evening in late September, everything changed over a dinner that began like any other. The moment the plates were served, something in the air shifted. The laughter that usually filled the dining room was gone, replaced by a silence that felt too heavy to bear. In the space of an hour, secrets long buried began to surface. Words were said that could never be taken back, and by the time dessert arrived, nothing was the same. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Stay with us as we uncover what really happened that night, and how a dinner meant to celebrate would unravel everything they ever believed about love, truth, and loyalty. Evelyn had always been the picture of grace, a successful businesswoman with a loving husband by her side, Michael. They had built a life together that seemed flawless, 15 years of marriage, 2 kids, and a home everyone envied. But beneath the surface, something was brewing, something no one saw coming. Michael, the charming and successful man everyone admired, was hiding a secret, a truth that would slowly unravel everything. The dinner had started as a celebration of their anniversary, a toast to 15 years together. But as the evening wore on, the warmth in the room faded, replaced by an uncomfortable tension. The words that passed between them no longer held the love they once did. Who betrayed whom? Was it Michael, hiding something darker than anyone could imagine? Or was Evelyn, in her own way, holding the key to the destruction of everything they thought they knew about each other? How did one simple dinner, filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses, shatter a marriage that seemed so perfect on the outside? The questions, the doubts, the hidden truths, everything was about to come to light. And with each passing moment, the walls of their perfect world began to crumble. Evelyn and Michael's love story was the kind of story people envied. They were the perfect couple, at least that's what everyone thought. Evelyn, a successful entrepreneur, had built a thriving business from the ground up, and she did it all while raising their 2 children with the utmost care. She was admired by friends, colleagues, and strangers alike for her ability to balance work, family, and life with such grace. Michael, on the other hand, was her rock. A successful businessman, charming, well-liked, and seemingly the perfect husband. Together, they made the world believe they were invincible. Their wedding had been a fairy tale, the kind of event everyone still talked about years later. Their vacations were always filled with smiles, family trips to the beach, holidays spent with extended family, moments of joy frozen in time. It was a love story anyone could dream of. But behind the flawless exterior, there were cracks no one noticed. Evelyn's long hours at work often left Michael feeling isolated, and he began to withdraw, his smiles hiding a growing sense of dissatisfaction. Evelyn had no idea that the man she thought she knew so well was harboring feelings of resentment, jealousy, and a secret he could never share. There were small moments, subtle signs, his defensiveness when she asked about his day, his sudden irritability when she was busy with work, a distant look in his eyes when they'd sit together for dinner. She brushed them off as fleeting, insignificant things, but they were the first whispers of a storm brewing. Behind every perfect couple lies a hidden truth, something no one is willing to confront. Michael, with his charm and easy smile, was hiding something deeper. Evelyn, ever the perfectionist, was blind to the danger that lay just beneath the surface. Their love story was one of laughter and smiles, but also of misunderstandings and missed connections, small pieces of a puzzle that, when put together, would reveal the truth about the night that changed everything. The evening started like any other. The table was set for 2, Evelyn and Michael, celebrating another milestone in their marriage. The flicker of candlelight cast a warm glow over their meal, and for a moment everything felt normal. They talked about their day, exchanged small talk about work and the kids, but there was an undercurrent of tension that neither could ignore. Michael was quieter than usual, his smile strained, as though something was weighing on his mind. Evelyn, ever perceptive, noticed it, but she didn't push. She had been busy with her business lately, and perhaps he just needed space. But the more they ate, the more the silence grew. As the conversation shifted to their anniversary plans, Michael's words took on a sharper tone. It wasn't the playful banter Evelyn had expected, but something more confrontational. Was this just a misunderstanding, or had the cracks in their marriage grown too deep to repair? He started talking about how things had changed between them, how he felt like he wasn't enough. Evelyn, caught off guard, tried to calm him down, to assure him that everything was fine, but her attempts to soothe only seemed to make things worse. Then, in a moment of sheer frustration, Michael slammed his fist onto the table. The sound echoed through the room, breaking the fragile calm they had managed to hold onto. The plate in front of him rattled, and for the first time that night, Evelyn felt the true weight of his anger. Was this the outburst of a man who had been bottling up years of resentment, or was it something more, something darker? Evelyn sat frozen, her mind racing. Was this a mistake, a moment of rage that would pass, or had she unknowingly crossed a line? The air was thick with tension, every breath between them feeling like an eternity. Just when it seemed like the situation might calm, Michael leaned in, his voice barely a whisper. "You'll never truly understand what I've been going through," he said, his words laced with something Evelyn couldn't quite place. And just like that, the perfect marriage was shattered. She was gone. But what really happened? The dinner that started with smiles and laughter had turned into something unrecognizable. The next morning, Michael sat alone in the silence of their home, his mind racing. The dinner, the argument, it all seemed like a blur now. He couldn't remember exactly when Evelyn had left, but by the time he came to his senses, she was gone. No phone call, no goodbye. Just an empty house and an overwhelming sense of guilt. It didn't take long for the police to arrive, their questions sharp and precise. Michael tried to stay calm, explaining that he hadn't seen Evelyn leave, that everything seemed fine until it was. But the police weren't convinced. There were too many inconsistencies, too many unanswered questions. Where was she? Why hadn't anyone heard from her? As the investigation unfolded, the community reacted in shock. Evelyn was well-liked, loved by neighbors, admired for her strength and kindness. To everyone, she was the last person who would ever disappear without a trace. Was Michael involved? The whispers began almost immediately. Some believed it was an act of passion, a crime of desperation, while others suspected a darker secret was at play. As the investigation moved forward, the police combed through every corner of their lives. The search for Evelyn expanded, the detectives uncovering every detail of their seemingly perfect marriage. But the more they dug, the more the case seemed to fall apart. Several theories emerged, some more far-fetched than others. One lead pointed to a colleague of Evelyn's, someone who had been seen with her days before her disappearance. But as quickly as it had appeared, that lead evaporated. Another witness came forward, claiming to have seen someone leaving the house late that night, but they couldn't provide a clear description. The public's suspicion grew, and the media frenzy intensified, with news reports speculating on Michael's involvement. Quick flashes of interviews, police press conferences, and dramatic headlines filled the airwaves, adding to the growing tension. The media called it the disappearance that shook the suburbs, and soon the case was the talk of the town. Social media buzzed with theories, and every piece of information was dissected, overanalyzed, and turned into speculation. Some believed Michael was hiding something, while others wondered if Evelyn had staged her disappearance. The public seemed torn, unsure of what to believe. Then, just as it seemed like the investigation would go cold, a breakthrough emerged. An unexpected phone call to the police, a tip that had been overlooked, finally provided the breakthrough the investigators needed. The case was about to take a shocking turn. But just when everyone thought they had the answers, the truth became far more complicated than anyone could have imagined. As the investigation continued to unfold, the pressure on Michael grew unbearable. The detectives had found his inconsistencies, small things, really, but they were enough to keep him in their sights. They began to dig deeper, searching for anything that would explain what had really happened that night. Michael, a man who had once been admired by all, was now at the center of the storm. The whispers grew louder, and the town began to turn against him. But the truth behind the dinner, it wasn't about anger or betrayal. It was something much darker. Michael had spent years living a double life, and on that night everything finally came to a head. His love for Evelyn had always been genuine, but there was a part of him, a shadow, that he had never been able to escape. The evening that started so innocently had been the breaking point. Michael hadn't intended for things to go so far. The dinner had been a confrontation, a moment of weakness that had spiraled out of control. But there was more, much more. It wasn't until the detectives uncovered a hidden email chain that the truth began to emerge. Michael had been having an affair for months, and it wasn't just any affair. It was with someone Evelyn knew. The revelation hit hard, not just for the investigators but for Evelyn's family, who had always trusted Michael. The affair had been kept secret, buried beneath layers of lies, until it was no longer sustainable. The argument at dinner had been the moment Michael's guilt had overwhelmed him. He wasn't just angry with Evelyn, he was terrified of losing everything. But the confession came not from Michael, but from an unexpected source. The woman Michael had been seeing, someone who had been a close friend of Evelyn's, came forward, revealing the details of their affair. Her voice shook as she explained how their relationship had turned toxic, how Michael had promised to leave Evelyn but never followed through. She had been angry, desperate, and when she learned about the argument at dinner, she realized just how much Michael was losing. In a court hearing, as the truth finally came to light, Evelyn's family was left in disbelief. They had no idea that the man they had trusted, the man who had been a father figure to their children, had betrayed them in such a way. The community, once supportive of Michael, was now torn apart by the revelation of his lies. But even after all this, a final shocking twist awaited. The story was far from over, and as the courtroom settled, one question lingered in the air. What really happened to Evelyn that night? The truth was about to take another unexpected turn. Just when everyone thought the truth had come out, a new piece of evidence surfaced. The courtroom was silent as the prosecutor presented a document that no one had expected, a letter, handwritten by Evelyn herself. The letter, which had been found hidden in a drawer at their home, was dated just days before the dinner that had changed everything. It was addressed to Michael. In the letter, Evelyn poured out her heart, confessing her own deep secrets. She had known about the affair. She had known for months but had chosen to stay silent. She wrote about how she had been living in a marriage where love had slowly turned into resentment. She spoke about her own feelings of loneliness, her doubts, and how she had been planning to leave Michael before that fateful dinner. The courtroom gasped. It wasn't just Michael's betrayal that had destroyed their marriage. Evelyn had been hiding a truth of her own. She had never intended to confront him about the affair, and she had never planned on leaving him in the way everyone believed. Her plan was to quietly walk away, without any drama, without anyone ever knowing. But the dinner had forced everything into the open. The argument, the rage, it was a culmination of years of unresolved pain on both sides. The realization hit Michael hard, and the audience too. The perfect marriage that everyone thought they knew, one of love and trust, was built on lies from both of them. Evelyn had been just as trapped as he had, but instead of reaching out for help, she chose to hide her truth. Now, as the case unraveled further, Michael's guilt shifted. It wasn't just about his affair. It was about the fact that he had never understood Evelyn's own pain. They had both been living in their own worlds, unable to truly see each other. The final twist, however, was even more shocking. Evelyn wasn't dead. She had left that night, not because she was angry with Michael or because she wanted to run away, but because she had planned to disappear, to start over alone. She had staged her disappearance, leaving behind a trail of confusion and doubt, as a way to escape the life she had built with Michael. She had wanted to disappear, not to escape him, but to escape herself. The courtroom was in stunned silence as this new revelation took hold. Michael's face twisted in disbelief. The man who had once thought he understood Evelyn was now realizing that he never truly knew her at all. The betrayal, the affair, none of it mattered anymore. What mattered was the fact that Evelyn had chosen to leave everything behind. The life they had built, the children, the love, all of it was gone because they had both failed to see the cracks, to acknowledge the distance between them until it was too late. As the case came to a close, the emotional weight of the story hung in the air. What did this say about trust? Can a marriage ever truly recover from such betrayal when both sides had kept their secrets for so long? What would you have done if you were in their shoes? Would you have stayed and fought for love, or would you have chosen to disappear, to start over with a clean slate? The story, with all its twists and heartbreak, was a stark reminder of how fragile even the most perfect-seeming relationships can be. The haunting image of Evelyn's final letter lingered as the screen faded to black, leaving the audience with nothing but the questions that would echo in their minds long after the video ended. What do you think really happened that night? Was Michael the true villain, or did Evelyn's decision to disappear change everything? Let us know in the comments below, because your thoughts could change how we all view this twisted tale. And if you thought this case was shocking, wait until you hear what happened in our next story, a tale even darker and more mysterious than this one. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Make sure to subscribe for more real-life crime twists, shocking revelations, and the mysteries that leave us questioning everything we thought we knew. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button so you're the first to know when our next story drops.